Hey guys, in today's video we're going to have a little bit of an extended look into a more advanced setup for the Tvheadend IPTV config application. Specifically we're going to look at how we can route some playlists through a HLS proxy and through a WireGuard VPN. This will give us access to things that may be geo-blocked, locked down. So yeah, let's just dive right in. If you haven't seen my previous video for setting up Tvheadend and Tvheadend IPTV, this project here, you should have a look at that first and come back. This will just sort of follow on from that, although I will be setting it up from scratch with a Docker Compose thing. So let's just get started. If you come here, go down again to the docs, we're going to run again with Docker Compose. Down here we've got, I've created 3 different templates. This is the one that I've just recently added for using an HLS proxy sidecar. You can see it here, so if we click on that it'll take us to the file, and let's just have a quick look over this and see what it's doing. So in the last video we used this all-in-one setup. This is, I'll just quickly bring that up. This is the exact same. So this was the all-in-one. We're just a single Docker container running with some variables, blah blah blah. This one is the exact same thing, so same thing, but we've got this additional service that we're going to be running as a part of the stack. This is my recommended HLS proxy. You can see the project here is a very feature-rich HLS proxy. Feel free to go through this, and you should definitely go through this documentation, see what it does and how it can, how you might be able to modify it for your needs specifically. But here, what I've done, there's no official Docker image for it, so I'm just building it. It takes probably about 5 or 10 seconds to start, so it may not be the best way to do it, but this is just, in my mind, more convenient than creating a whole Docker image, pushing it to a registry and pulling that. Anyway, so from here we've got this node image, and then we're setting the command to install this guy's project and then run it. So we are running it, setting some verbosity for our loggings. I see a mistake here. I should probably have set that to that variable, but oh well. I'll update that later. We're setting the host, this here. We basically want that to be set to whatever this is named, the service is named here, so this variable should be the same thing as the service name. The port, just leave that as this number. You can probably set it to what you want, but we should leave it. Prefetch means that it's going to cache the assets, the data as it comes through, so it makes the FFmpeg command work a little bit faster, because when it fetches the playlist initially, it will go ahead and download all the TS files from that playlist, or that M3U file, which obviously makes it faster. The max segments means that 100 megabytes worth of data will be cached, and then the user agent. Sometimes another reason why you might want to use this, other than using it with a VPN like we're going to set up today, you might just have it a playlist that's being blocked because of user agents, and you can set that up in obviously in Tvheadend and with your FFmpeg command, but sometimes this is just an easy way to do it. Right, so I guess the most important thing to look at in this file is actually the networking. And unlike this all-in-one container where we just have a network and it's just a standard bridge network that we're creating, in this one we're actually creating 3 networks. The first network we're creating, this private network, we're going to make it an internal only network, which means that there's no communication going through this network that has host access. Like if we only assigned this network to a service, it would never be able to have host access. So it's designed we're adding it just for intercommunication between these two services. So both service has the private network added. Then, as I was saying, they don't have that network doesn't have host access, so each service will also get its own bridge network. This one is just a standard bridge network. It's not going to do anything fancy, but this one here, you'll see that it's set to external equals true. We're going to create this network outside of our Docker stack, and then we're going to configure up some routing so that it has all of its routing going through a WireGuard VPN, and then we're going to have our HLS proxy network only communicate with that. That means any external network from here, when this wants to fetch anything from the internet, it's going to route through the VPN. It also means that our hosts, none of our host traffic will be going through that VPN. None of this Tvheadend or tick proxy or tick config service and traffic will be going through the VPN. So anyway, let's set it up, and I'll walk you through the whole process. Let's grab this file. Actually, before we do that, before we create the Docker Compose stack, we're going to have to create the WireGuard VPN and the Docker network that will be routing all the traffic through it. So I'm running Fedora on this machine here. Your thing may vary, so first things first, come over to the WireGuard installation page and have a look to see what is required to install WireGuard for your machine. Mine is Fedora. Let's start by doing that. Install this. Already installed on my machine, that's good. Then the next thing you're going to want to do is create a WireGuard config. I've got a config already installed, but you just basically download the WireGuard config for your particular VPN, whoever that's with, and you place it into etc WireGuard, and then I prefix it with wg0, and then I'll name it docker.conf. So you want to put it in there. It should be only read write. Wow, should change the permissions on it so it's only readable by root. 600 chmod. Thank you. Chmod, not chown. So let's have a look at that again. Yeah, so it should only be read write by root, because this contains some secret keys and stuff like that. And then what you're going to want to do is go back to your compose file, and at the top of here I've put a link to a script of mine. And so if we go to that link, which I've already got open here, I've hosted a guide to setting up the Docker network in a bit of detail as to what it's actually going on. Read through that if you want, but at the bottom here there's a script, and this we can use to just kind of automate the process a little bit. So let's just grab that now. And then let's create a temporary directory to do all of this in. wget.sh, paste it in there. Yes, you do it. You do what I tell you. Make that executable. You should read through my script to make sure I'm not being dodgy. How this script works is we're going to, there's some parameters that you can pass it. because the main thing is, because we've named our file this. Yep, so that exists. We don't have to configure that. Everything else, what we're gonna do is create a Docker network named Docker WG0, which is the same name here. So if you do change the name, make sure you also update it here. We're gonna set our subnet to 10.20.0.0. We're going to create a WireGuard interface called WG0-Docker. We're going to read that config. We're going to set the M3U8. Basically, the script does something similar to what wg-quick command would do. If you've ever used WireGuard, that's the tool you may have used. It does something similar, but the problem is wg-quick will set WireGuard, set the tunnel up for the whole host, which means all traffic will be going through it. And we want to specify that only a specific Docker network, this one here, that traffic goes through it. So this script kind of does something similar, but instead of setting up for the whole host, it only specifically sets it up for that, and then sets up some routing rules and stuff like that. So how we run it is we go up. So what we've done is we've created a Docker network. It took a little bit of time, so if we'll go through this. So we created the Docker network, we've created the interface, the WireGuard interface, we've set the IP for the WireGuard interface, set up some IP forwarding, set the MTU, then we've brought the interface up. If we were to IP link show, we'll see that the WireGuard interface is up. We've created a route table, we've set the default out for that route table. We've also configured a black hole, so if the default route disappears, then all traffic will not just go through our normal interface, our host's default route out to the internet. Instead, it will all go into a black hole, and there will be no internet traffic for this Docker network. Set up some NAT rules, and then we've made sure that the no, that's it. That's basically it. So now if we were to run that command again, but status, we should hopefully see that the VPN is up. Correct. Good. Okay, so we now have this IP address from my VPN. And if we go to Docker Network LS, we can see that our Docker network is there. If I was to run anything now through this Docker network, it will be considered external traffic. So let's create a Docker Compose file and grab the contents of this and paste it into here. I'm going to just change one thing. I'm going to just change the configuration file directory to just be a /config. Right, now if we run Docker Compose up, everything should start running. Alright, let's see. Amazing. Our default password is username admin, password admin. Here we go. So now we've got the application running. We're just going to go through and click save on a few things. Yeah, click save on the defaults. Yeah, that. And we're going to add a couple of playlists. Now, I've got this up here. We're going to add my local TV. I want this one here. Copy link. Paste it in here. What? I did that wrong. Don't be a spoon. Copy link address. Cool. And for this, I'm not going to use an HLS proxy. So that's just going to go routing as per normal, no big deal. Then I'm going to add another one. This one's going to be in Australia. Copy link address. Again, just one, but this time I'm going to use an HLS proxy, and I'm going to use an HLS proxy path. I'm going to set this to the name of my HLS proxy service. So we're running at that on port 9987. You remember we said we're running the port 9987. Okay, so this is the host name, this is the port. Now this particular thing, we want to, if we look at the documentation for how this works, where's the examples? Yeah, so we go URL and then the thing, the extension. So if we go back to here, we don't need any of that. We just go URL. Now we want to actually send it through. If you look in here, it's base64 encoding the URL. So we want to replace it with base64 URL, and then we want to give it the extension. This is where it might differ for your playlist. Just be aware of this, right? Sometimes an M3U8 contains M3U streams, which may then create, we will have individual TS for it inside of that, right? So maybe you pay to download this and check to see what the contents of it. I know that this file here contains M3U, so I'm just going to go, this is an M3U8, right? But I've had other playlists where the contents of this is just streams of whatever, MPEG streams, in which case I would set this to TS. Oops, TS. Alright, so just keep that in mind. In this case, we are going to just save it like that. Okay, cool. And then we update the playlist. For our program guide, I'm just going to quickly import those two things as well. Copy link address. And this one. Copy link address. Refresh those two. And let's add two channels. Let's add one from NZ. One from NZ and one from Australia. Cool. So both added and both are being inserted into Tvheadend. So if we click on config, DVB inputs, networks, muxes, we should see both things there. Now, straight away, I can see my New Zealand channel has worked, my Australian one has not. So what's the problem? The problem is, has not gone through the proxy. This is a bug. This should have fixed that as soon as I added the channel. But I guess this is a good example because what's happening is the channel can't. It will not work. So if I save, if I tell it to do a scan, you'll see in the logs it'll try to subscribe to it and it'll fail, right? It'll be a whole bunch of 403 forbidden errors. Okay, so let's quickly fix this. I'll fix this in an update to the application, but basically if we just refresh that and then come back to here, now what's happened is that change has added the HLS proxy as to the fetching of the to fetch the playlist for that particular channel. So as you can see, it's now working, which means all traffic that's going through through the HLS proxy is appearing as if it's coming from Australia, and it's coming with that user agent. It's been requested by that user agent. So yeah, now we have the ability to watch things that would normally be geo-blocked. Easy as that, huh? Yeah, I guess just quickly adding onto this video, if you ever wanted to change your channel ordering, you can just drag it like this. If you ever want to bulk edit, say for example what we just did before with refreshing, if you want to bulk do all of them, you can just click that and refresh all of the channels. And if you want to edit the categories of this, say if we were calling this, we'd say these would be entertainment channels, and we can add these categories to all of them. And yeah, that basically is the contents of this video. Cool. Bye.